working on an 04 Hyundai Elantra. We're going to be doing a timing belt, water pump, and oil pump repair. And in this case, we'll have to drop the pan, and that's basically it. The reason we'll be doing this is because there is a stream of oil that flows out while the car is running. This indicates to me that either the crank seal on the oil pump is leaking. It has to be pressurized. Okay, so that's why we're attacking this. Plus, we don't know how old the timing belt is. The owner has had this vehicle for at least 2 years and hasn't done one. So we're going to be doing all the stuff behind the timing belt, like I said, the water pump, as preventive maintenance, but also attacking the problem at hand, which is the oil leak while running. Luckily, this is his girlfriend's car. She had noticed the oil light come on briefly. She pulled immediately over, and there was still 2 quarts of oil left in the motor. So we're quite sure that it should be safe. Okay, your engine, you'll have it. You'll have an overhead cam. It's 16 valve. It's about 100,000 miles on the odometer, and that's that. We'll go ahead. I have it jacked up now. It's already on jack stands. I already started lubing the exhaust bolts because we have to drop the exhaust to be able to bring down the pan. We'll take care of this oil cover. Engine cover. We'll be taking care of this engine cover. We're removing this so we have access. And we'll start with that. Okay? Underneath here, I took off the cover. Okay, there's one here and one there. So right now we're removing the 2 nuts, these nuts right here from the exhaust, and we'll have to unplug the oxygen sensor back here. Okay, so when this is dangling, it's not stressing out the cables and pulling the wires out of the oxygen sensor. Relieving stress. Okay, so far I have the timing cover off, and we have the fender well cover off. I've also drained the oil while I was taking care of the exhaust down here. Okay, we have that one cover. We don't have to take this off, that's fine. And as you see, we have the exhaust dropped. Can you see all the way down? All the way down. 2 bolts there. There's actually a second bolt that holds the into the pan from right there, and it's attached directly to the pan. And then the 2 rubber mounts at the end right there where the resonator is. Okay, I also dropped it from there just to eliminate any kind of stress on the front parts. Okay, right now we're draining the coolant, at least from the radiator, so it's less of a mess. I also took off the oil filter and I emptied it because we'll be taking all this off, and the whole entire plate there off, and we're putting that in the bird bath, the cleaner, so because I'll be replacing that seal and also the crank seal that's in there from the oil pump out. What else? So next thing to do up top is removing this motor mount. Okay, we're going to be removing the motor mount and this other plate. I don't know if you can see this guy right here, this plate. Okay, we'll be taking that off, and all the belts, remove all the belts, get all that stuff cleared out. Power steering can stay, the AC compressor can stay. all we need to do is, I guess, get the water pump pulley off as well, the external pulleys here, and that's it. Maybe loosen up the alternator, because I know there's a plate that is utilized for the water pump, and I'll zoom you back in for that when we get there, when we get to that point. All right. Taking off these 3 guys here. It's 1 bolt and 2 nuts. Sorry. Okay, so we got that. One of the things I also did was remove the bolt that was here for the AC. Okay, the high side for the AC. I unplugged the VVT solenoid. I put it here to the side. The exhaust solenoid. What else? I also disconnected the power steering reservoir, so I have ability to move stuff around when I'm working here in this area. So right now we're just in the process of removing the motor mount and this stuff here, so everything is out of the way. We have another one. Is that another? Yeah, okay, that size. I was under a little more stress, not a big deal. So 3 of the bolts and head of or 3 of these items, okay, have 14mm head. The other big one here on top of the main mount was a 19mm. Not that it matters for you guys. I'm sure you guys will figure it out. I just wanted to go ahead and give you some more in-depth info while I'm here, step by step. So what I did was loosen this bolt. It's the adjustment screw. Okay, and there's another one down here, which is 2 14mm bolts here and 1 from this side. That's the power steering belt. And now I also loosened the adjuster screw for the alternator. Okay, the back screw, which is here, which is 12mm, and I'm going to go underneath and we're going to loosen the other one, which is from the motor side, from the other side, and I'll show you what I'm doing there. We're almost there, and I've also taken off all the 10mm hold down bolts for the pulley of the water pump, which is right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, can you? Right here. Okay. Now for those, you can take off the power steering pump and lay it on the side here together with the reservoir. Okay. As the customer was stating, like he's learning how to do this. He's trying to get his ASEs. He's learning how to do this, so he's here watching, and I'm talking him through everything as well, and bringing you guys along. So yeah, one of the things he was asking, why don't we take this and move it to the side? I don't think I'll have to, because there's only the 1 power steering line here, and the reservoir hoses, which I have disconnected anyway, and we had to remove, because if you look on this mount, okay, this motor mount, one of those power steering bolts goes through here, so you'll have to at least undo the reservoir, and that's that. On second thought, I think I will have to remove the alternator completely, because there is this bracket in which the tension is being applied. This bracket here is also holding on the water pump. It is holding the water pump in place onto the motor itself. So I will disconnect the alternator. So before doing the alternator, make sure you disconnect the battery, people, because I haven't mentioned that yet, and I haven't done that yet, because I haven't needed to yet. And I will now. Okay. And we got that and the connector. Okay. clockwise, always clockwise. Oops. Boom. We should be there. Let's see here. Oh, it's a little past. Okay, I see the mark now. Okay. I was wrong. It's not 12 o'clock. There's a little notch right behind the timing cover, which I don't know if you guys can see with the timing cover still on, but can you see there's a plate behind there? Okay, well what I'll do, I'll take off the cover completely, and that means we'll have to rotate this twice, because I never want to go backwards on an engine. This engine rotates clockwise. Always go clockwise. Okay. So I have removed the alternator from here. As you saw in the last segment, I took out that last piece, that last bolt from the bottom on that side of the nut, on that side, and we took out the through bolt. And the alternator is sitting over there on the little cart, along with the belt and the water pump pulley. Next thing we have to do is take off this bracket. We have these two bolts, and then these two right here, and then this bracket comes off. It's also holding the water pump in place. So we have to get this off just to have access to the water pump anyway. Down below, if you notice here, we have one more belt to take off, which is the AC. The tensioner puller is right here. We loosen up this nut and then this bolt for tension, and then all we have to do is remove this last belt. We don't have to take this completely off. I don't believe we should have enough room to access the cover, especially once we take off the crank pulley. We'll have access to the complete cover, and then we'll come back. Okay, we just got done taking off the AC belt here. I might have him replace that. It sounds a little roller skatey. Hold on. I'll bring you guys closer. I don't know if you guys can hear that with the mic. So we might replace that pulley while we're here. Actually, I will take this all the way off. Technically, you don't need to. In this case, it's covered with the oil from the spraying of the timing cover right here, okay? As you see, all I did was zip off the crank pulley, this crank bolt, huge washer, it's a 22 millimeter. I just zipped it right off, and we're gonna undo the cover now with the rest of the 10 millimeter bolts here, just like maybe 3 or 4 left to do. Remove the cover, and then we'll make sure that the belt is in time. Okay, that's the next step right now. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this little washer. Came off, so now I have that to the side. And what I did, I'm putting the bolt back in just so I can spin it. You can see the timing mark here, and this must be in the 12 o'clock position. I might be able to lower this, or maybe you can grab me a light. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate this just a little bit more, because according to the top pulley, we're almost on time. So let me see if I can find that timing mark here on the block. I cannot, but it should be right here in the 12 o'clock position. Okay, so you see that little white mark there, that the washout or anything? Okay, so that little mark, that notch, should be 12 o'clock. And then come to the top. This is the timing mark that should be right there, okay, at that point. Do not get distracted by this white mark or that white mark, okay? Those are not the timing marks, not technically. This is supposed to line up with that. So I'm pretty sure if I turn this a little bit more down by the crank first, I use a crank, this should line up with this, and then we should be 100% in time. Now these white should line up with the head as so, okay, like this. So be aware, do not use this as a timing mark. It's not. Now I'm going to put my own little marks on here. Okay. Right now we're going to line up the pulley marks. Let me get this freaker right here, shining. And if you look down below, actually if you want to lower the engine a little bit, you want to do that?
Let me do it.
You can do it, okay. Ever so slightly. Keep going. Little more and stop. Perfect. Now can you see that mark? The little white mark? No? Maybe this is a little too bright. I'll just put it on lower. There we go. How about that? Okay. There's it was being washed. Alright, that mark has got to line up with the notch that's in here. Let me get that for a second here. There's a notch on that plate. And let me see. Can we line that up to where we can see it? There we go. On that plate in the back. In editing, circle it, but that white notch has got to line up with that plate notch. Okay, and then on the top we'll have what I said before. So we got to do 2 revolutions of this crank in order to get that cam in place. Oops, where did I put this? Okay. So there we have the time mark aligned. Okay. With that little notch on the oil pump cover. And then we have the top that's aligned. And I have a little screwdriver. And hopefully, I don't know if I go on this side, you can see it's right in that divot. Okay? The divot where that, see right here like that? Can you see that? Yeah. Boom. It's right in that divot. Where it's supposed to be. And you can see that the white marks are aligned parallel with the head or where the valve cover sits. Okay? So always be wary and always check service information. Also in this case, we do not need any tools to hold the cam in place. Another reason why you need to do your due diligence prior to doing any kind of job. Okay, so next step would be now to take off the tensioner now that we have everything in time, to remove the tensioner and remove the belt. I will put little marks for myself for reference just in case, whatever. I don't know, who knows. I know there's no tools needed in order to hold the crankcase or hold the camshaft, so shouldn't be an issue, but you never know. So I'll go ahead and put some marks on the timing belt where the timing marks are on the belt, or my own little reference on the belt. Like here, I'll put them here, on the top, and on the bottom, I might do it where the keyway is, I suppose. So that's the next step, remove the belt. So we have this motor mount to go ahead and remove. 1, 2, and 3 bolts at least. Yeah, 3 bolts. And then we have access to the water pump. We'll go ahead and remove the 3 bolts on that. I think there's 3 if I read service info properly and recall. So that's the next thing. We want to have this motor mount out of the way, and we're going to make a mess and relieve like the rest of the coolant that's in the system here with removing the water pump. And then hopefully the next step would be the pan, and then we can remove the oil pump at the bottom. So step by step, we're getting there. All right. Okay. So we took off that motor mount, and he's going to go ahead and clean it off. Those are 3 bolts that you see right here. Easy peasy. those 3 bolts. And now we're going to go ahead and focus on the water pump. As you see, we have 1, 2, and possibly a 3rd bolt right here underneath. And that's all we have left, because the other hold downs are with the bracket for the alternator. So we're almost down to the nitty gritty. I just want to take you step by step. Okay? Is that a good picture? Okay, so we've got these 3 bolts here. Yeah. I was waiting for that to happen. Get that. It's nasty shmoo. Ickies. See you laughing at me, man. Alright, so should be able to take that off. That's 1. 2, 3. They'll just go like this here. We only have 3 bolts now left on the water pump. It's already oozing because the brackets were holding everything, helping to hold everything up. So just the fact, it was already weeping just because we had to take so much stuff off anyway. So it's a good thing that we're going ahead and doing it, because the seal is going to be broken and you're going to have a leak afterwards. This is why you always want to do a complete job. Yes.
Even if it's not internal.
Correct. Alright, so there's 2 different sizes there. That's a short one. Now, here goes your meshy mesh. Let's see here. Should be it. Let's see. Anything else? Anything else? Take that rubber mallet. Let me get the rag. Oh, right here. There it goes. Oh yeah. Try to get most of it. You are.
Yeah, I wish she's not supposed to be here for another 2 weeks.
Feels so good. Feels okay. The impellers look in good shape. But we still want to go ahead and replace this anyway, or at least the gasket. Okay. Let's say for the people who just got done replacing it, you have to replace the gasket. Okay. And this is John.
Certified. Technician. AC certified braking shit.
So we got these guys that go here. Okay, there's 1, 2, and 3. And then we have
I was driving it.
1,
brakes so rough.
2. Okay. Yep. And then all these.
I've been sitting there like relaxing in the seat, and all of a sudden, I get up, I'm slamming on the brakes. I'm like, yo, what the fuck wrong with you? I'm like, supposed to coast this spot. It's already done. What do you gotta jump on for? Come on, man.
Yeah, that guy. Where's it at? Right there. Got that guy.
Now I know I asked you this before, but why do you have to take the pan down again?
Because see where the front of the pump is?
Yes.
It's sitting on top of the pan. So that seal now is going to be compromised between the pump and the pan.
So you have to take it off to clean the spot where the seal's supposed to sit.
Well, now you want to do the whole seal instead of just that, because now you'll never get this sealed.
Okay.
So I'm just going around, breaking the other ones loose, the ones I can get to from the bottom.
So the seal goes around from the bottom or the top. That's the
It
top
goes
of the
across
oil pan,
that-
all the way up to.
Well, all the way to the top of the plate.
Okay. So I must have been leaking from the top of the plate then.
Well, either that or that crank seal. You see the crank seal?
Yeah.
Or that seal.
what
That's where I think.
Yeah, that's what I initially thought was leaking.
But you couldn't get to it because it was in behind the timing cover.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I think is leaking as well. I mean, that's the only way it could have gotten into...
Regardless, we would have to do this anyway.
Correct. Yeah, regardless. Because I don't like doing the seals with it on the car like that, with like that type.
Yeah.
Now we use this. So let's take off that pan, because we gotta take off that pan too. Take off the belt, take off the water pump, have that drain out, and then take off the pan. Yeah, okay. So now that I have everything timed, let me get